going to feed and take off some discard from this sourdough starter. So I'm going to leave it out on the counter because it's been in the refrigerator, and I'm going to let it get warmed up and active again. Okay, so I've had the sourdough starter sitting on the counter all night. It's warmed up, and we are going to be making thumbprint cookies with sourdough discard. That's pretty cool. Let's get started. Okay, today we are making sourdough thumbprint cookies, and I've taken the recipe from Farmhouse on Boone. I've been really enjoying looking at her sourdough discard recipes, and I highly encourage you to go and check out her channel. So I have everything set out, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to add is a half cup of butter that is softened. And then we will add 3/4 cup sugar, and we'll mix those together very well. Now that the sugar and butter is all incorporated and nice and fluffy, we are going to add the 1/4 cup of sourdough discard. Looks kind of bubbly and okay. Maybe not as active as it might be, I guess. I'm still very new at using all this sourdough stuff, but I think it's okay, especially for this recipe where you don't have to really rely on it to rise like you would with bread. Okay, and then we're going to add a large egg. Our chickens are starting to lay again, and we are very, very thrilled. So we're going to add that, and we'll mix those up. Okay, that's nice and creamy, and it's time to add the teaspoon of vanilla, and I've been making my own vanilla at home with vanilla beans and vodka. No, I do not drink, but it makes really wonderful extracts and flavorings. So adding my own vanilla, and then I've already sifted 2 1/4 cups of flour and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I will start adding that in increments, just so that it can get incorporated really well. Keep it on low while I'm adding, so the flour doesn't go everywhere. It always does anyway. Take a look at that. I try to keep things clean and tidy, but sometimes life happens. So I can't imagine how the sourdough discard will actually make cookies taste. I can see it being in bread and even pancakes. But cookies, that's another thing. Okay, now this dough is mixed up and ready. It looks nice. What we're going to do is we're going to take this dough and make round balls out of them, maybe a little smaller than that, and get them on a cookie sheet. So I'll come right back. Okay, so I have everything cleaned up. I've got the mixer back in the pantry, and now I have a cookie sheet that's buttered and greased, and it's time to make the cookies up. I don't want to get them too big, so let's see what we can do here. I'm really excited to see how these cookies come out with sourdough discard in it. Heather from Tomatoes, Poppies, and Everything had a really good video recently about how she uses discard in everything she just about possibly can, baking or cooking or whatever, and how good it is for your gut health. So I recommend that you go over and find her at Tomatoes, Poppies, and Everything. She's got a great channel. Here's a shout out for her. And you'd be surprised how many people have great recipes for sourdough discard and the things that they're trying to do with it. So I learned quite a bit from Heather talking about its benefits for your gut health. So that is definitely a motivator for using the discard in your baking and cooking. Okay, we now have the balls all made, and it's time to make the thumbprint in it, hence the name, Thumbprint cookies. I sometimes use parchment paper, but I think it ends up being more of a nuisance than a help. Maybe I'm too old school. So I just like to grease the pan and not have to mess with the crinkly parchment paper and cutting it to size and different things. So this is going to be the well for the jam to go in, that you put the jam in after you bake it. I suppose you could put it in before you baked it, but that would make it more of a tart, like a pie. Okay, time to pop these in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 minutes. Wow, these are turning out much bigger than I anticipated. Note to self, make them half that size. Just little tiny balls, roll little tiny balls, and I'm gonna have to put the dents back in once we get the cookies out, right out of the oven. Okay, the cookies are done. I let them bake for 14 minutes instead of 12 because I like them just a little bit browner. I'm going to take this little cool looking scoop and see if I can just push it down a little more, make more of a depression so we can put the jam in there. Today we're going to use my homemade strawberry and triple berry jam. You just want enough of a depression for the jam to fit in and not spill out. These I'm doing without rolling them in sugar or powdered sugar. But the next batch I'm going to use maybe half and half. Half powdered sugar, half granulated sugar. So then you can either do it now or when they're completely cooled. But I kind of want to try it now to have it settle in. Put some jelly in there, jam actually. Okay, I'm going to cut the amounts right in half. And make much smaller cookies out of them. Oh, I can't forget to roll them. First I'm going to roll them up into balls and then I will roll them in sugar or powdered sugar. I think that'll go a lot better. I have transferred the sourdough starter into a clean jar and I have fed it. And I have a clean paper towel and a rubber band. And I'm going to set it on the counter again where it's warm and just try over the next few days to see how many ways I can use the sourdough discard. Wish me luck. Okay, so one step I forgot to tell you was to make sure that you chill your dough before you roll the balls, and then if you want them to set up even better, chill them after you've rolled them out like this Fix up that little crack there. And before you bake them. I think that will make them hold their shape a lot better. And I think you'll have better results. So sorry about not telling you that step. Don't forget to chill your dough after you have mixed it up for, I would say, a minimum of 20 minutes. The recipe suggests an hour. And then I would pop them back in the refrigerator for another 15 minutes at least before you bake them. Okay, these are the same cookies, but used half of the amount of dough. And I rolled some of them in powdered sugar, which you can't even tell which ones, and some of them in regular granulated sugar. And I also cooked these longer because we have a tendency to like cookies that are browner and just more done. So I'm going to put some more jelly in these and see how it looks. This time I'm going to use my homemade red plum jelly. It's made from elephant heart plums. It makes a very dark, beautiful jelly. I have a recipe that I'm going to put on here. My original recipe that I always made my thumbprint cookies with. And I think I like that better than this. Not that there's anything wrong with this recipe, but it's a little bit sweet for me. And the recipe I have has and brown sugar in it. It's rolled in nuts, and it just doesn't seem to be quite so sweet. This is definitely a desserty type cookie. You're only going to want one or two of these. Well, I would stick to one, and a glass of milk, because they're very, very sweet, especially rolling them in extra sugar, having the jelly, and just the recipe in general. They're delightful, pretty little things. I think they'd go great with a cup of tea that was not hardly sweetened at all, or like I said, a glass of milk. So it's been interesting to see how they came out size-wise and the time that I left them in the oven, whether I rolled them or not in sugar or powdered sugar. But still, they seem to be pretty sweet to me. They're going to make a nice crunchy little cookie, but not what I'm used to. So here are the results from today's sourdough discard adventures. These right here are the ones that I cut in half and used half the dough. And these are the ones with the full dough. We cooked these longer here, but there's really not as much difference in size as I thought there would be. These are a little bit higher. They're both very kind of crunchy. Definitely a sugar cookie. I do want to share that usual recipe that I have with you of how I make my thumbprint cookies. I just have to figure out how I'm going to work the sourdough discard in, but never fear, we will not give up and we will press on. I hope you enjoyed this video today. It's been very interesting to me to see different ways that you can use sourdough, and my journey has just begun. I hope you will come along with me in my journey and enjoy it as much as I have. So we will see you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by.